I begin with the euro, then we're gonna go through GBP, USD, dollar, yen, Aussie dollar. Actually, not gonna do Aussie dollar, but we're gonna do gold and crude and some stock markets. And let me show you, it's a bit quieter today in the markets. We have a bit of activity really in stock markets that are up a bit, but it's not a lot given the volatility we've seen lately. But yeah, they're up a little bit, German DAX in particular. And then you got Bitcoin, which is up at 1.4%, but I think it was up even higher earlier. It's doing some good progress, and there's some interesting setups there in the crypto space, so you should definitely check that out as well. But we're going to begin with the euro. And a few days ago, when the market was trading up here early last week, I said that the market is probably going to go down, which it did. And then it's probably going to bounce, which it did. So from the buy spot, at one point the market was up with about 64 pip. That was yesterday. Sorry, no, when was this? Yeah, this was yesterday. Now we're still up a bit, but not by as much. And I see no reason to change the bias here just yet. The trend remains bullish. You know, it is possible to book profits on these opportunities. It's also possible just to stick with it because you are dealing with a bit of an uptrend. And I think we can reduce the trend finding level a tiny bit, maybe to 110.80. But I think if the market would slide to this little area again, which is between 110.80 and 111.40, then I do think people are going to be buying. This is GBP versus the USD. The trend here remains upwards, which is great. If you long, that is. A few days ago, we said look to get involved here. We're trading up here, so let's get involved. The market is up a bit now with about 111 pip. This is looking quite good as well. We had a bit of a volatility here. I think we did have some data coming out, or I am just imagining. We did have a little push to the upside actually at 835, but that was pretty much it. There's no change, no reason to change the bias. We can book profit here if you're looking to scalp, and the general idea is just to buy on dips really. Dollar yen. So dollar yen is interesting because it's within this rectangle, support, support, and support, resistance, resistance, and you had that little break. Now the market is pretty much here at the sell point again. So this is perfectly fine to be bearish from these levels and anticipating this to go down. The general idea is for this to go down to 107 more or less. And then you have gold prices, which as well doing quite good. So yesterday we said market was up here, and I said let's provide you guys with a short-term setup, short-term view here if you want to take advantage of the market volatility in gold. And yes, the market slid to support, and then at one point the market was up with about $10.44 versus a drawdown of about $5.35. And I think, yeah, we might revisit these levels, but as long as you're above 1540, I think we can reach the high here from this week more or less at 1580, and then we can potentially reach the 1600 level, which is a target we spoke about summer last year, and I think we spoke about it like more than earlier than that. But summer last year definitely, because I've been bullish for quite some time on this market. And then we have the other longer term target of 1700, which is also given the current situation, it feels like we could potentially reach that. I'm talking about the Iran-US situation, but it's not just that. The US central bank is just flushing the financial system with money because of their repo issues in the US, and people say this is probably going to continue. I think they said until April, because around April is as far as I understand it, I'm not an expert on taxes in the US, but I think that's when the companies start to pay taxes. So that's when probably we might see this leveling off. So the longer term trend, at least for the dollar, from a money printing perspective, remains bullish here in gold. Crude oil then, what's going on here? So the market on this 30 minute, you can see the market move back to support, and the idea is just to turn bullish from this little spot. And yeah, I'm bullish from here, and there's no real reason to make any changes. I will tell you though, you see this candle from yesterday? That is not a beautiful candle. There was a bad close here. This actually indicates that it's time to anticipate profit taking. You see that candle here, and we'll stick with the trend for now. But obviously, if we start to see signs that this is not really working out, we'll try to reduce the trend finding level a bit by bit, and eventually the price will slide below the trend funding level, and at that point it's an indication that it's time to exit. Let me just actually take a look here. The daily candle in gold yesterday was actually not that very good either, but it's not bad. German DAX. So German DAX, so the market, as you know, a few days ago, I've been saying for the last week or so, I said, buy here, that would have fine. And then I said, buy here, that would also work out fine. And then last time the price moved back here, it did not work out fine, which is the way trading works. Now we're in this very nice rectangle pattern, very nice and neutral, very, very straightforward. Break above the high here, which is 13,467. This turns bullish. On the other hand, take out low at 12,872, and the thing turns bearish. Very straightforward. What else? S&P 500. S&P 500, just trading within a range here, very similar to the one of DAX. A few days ago, the market slid below this level. That was the December 31st low, and that was my trend funding level. And when the market traded below here, it was time to give up on the bullish view in this particular market. Looking at this today, you can see there's some support for the market just around 32 or 6.4. And I think if we might go down to these levels, it might make sense to potentially look to get involved. You also have the potential breakout to the high, which can be traded. But and the same thing can be said here about the German DAX again if we take off the high. Let's talk a bit about cryptos. So this is cryptos and this is Bitcoin, and we have what looks like a small inverse head and shoulders. You get head, left, and right shoulder, and then you have the difference here, which is about 20%. Well, actually, yeah, it is 20, but when you put it here, it becomes 16.8. Monetary difference is $1,280, and that is the potential target here of this market. And then we'll see what happens. You know, are we going to break out of this, which looks like some sort of a wedge pattern, or maybe some sort of a channel? Then we can have some very decent moves. We have, it depends on how you measure it, right? But I like to measure the midpoint here, and then you put it like that. Maybe we'll go much higher eventually than up here. Could be a bit like gold. So if we look at gold, you see we're stuck in this wedge here. The market broke the upside, rallied strongly. We're stuck in this wedge, the market rallied strongly, right? And maybe that's what we're seeing now in Bitcoin. Maybe we're going to start to move upwards. There's a few reasons for this, and one of the reasons is that in places like Iran, where you have capital restrictions, and in that region where there's capital constrictions in general, there is the popularity of things like Bitcoin is much higher than, for example, here in London, for example. Obviously, you have people that are hardcore buyers, right, of crypto, but you don't actually buy crypto because you think inflation is going to soar in the country, and your pound is going to lose a lot of money, a lot of value. Over there, they would do that because of that necessity, because they want to have some protection, because their currency in general in emerging markets, inflation is much higher there. Food prices and stuff like that go up. So that could be something. And then I read something as well about, I think it was South Korea. I think South Korea, they're looking to approve, they have already approved Bitcoin derivatives. I think that's also kind of a positive sign as well there. If it starts to become more regulated in places like in South Korea, and they love Ripple over there. So, that could also be something that is sort of shifting things in favor of the markets. It could also just be a simple classic sort of rally, and everybody sort of trying to guess what's going to happen next. And like it could be just a simple correction, but in some of the markets, it's definitely looking quite interesting. And obviously, like this is Ripple, for example, was stuck here in the beginning of the week in a simple little range, and then market, the price has so far risen by 8%. At one point, it was up with 13%. So, too early to say exactly what's going to happen. But sometimes what happens, you can get involved, goes up a bit, you book off, and then you keep the rest and see if it continues to go upwards. Unless, of course, you're like a super hardcore buyer and you sort of really think this is going to be it. And then that's it, you hold it. Okay, let's see if you guys have any questions. Yeah, Robin Cat says, no reason Bitcoin won't go up again. No reason. That's a bit confusing. No reason Bitcoin won't go back up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin can go up. I mean, it's a bit different now than before, because before it was like, it's all about information and how things are sort of shared and assimilated within the world, right? And at one point, you know, a few years ago, when people were like so crazy about it, and I mean, I bought some stuff as well, made some good money on that. But then people get more and more used to it and understanding it, and then obviously that I think there's been a few waves in Bitcoin already, and there's probably gonna be a new craze and a new wave. It always happens. It happens the same in stocks, for example. Like as I've been mentioning in the S&P 500, to give you an idea, my sister, she's not interested in financial markets at all, and you know, she never really asked me like, oh, what shares to buy and stuff like that. But now when sort of the stock market, the Swedish stock market, was going upwards quite a lot. Oops. Swedish stock market has been doing okay. You know, it's just one of the very good markets in general. But you can see lately here, it's just pushing upwards from, I think from last year, from 2019 in January, the market rose with some 20% or something like that. Yeah, some 20%. So I'm sure some of her friends must have done some investment in shares, and then they like probably brag about it, and that's why she probably got curious and asked me, how do I set up like a stockbroker account, and which shares should I be focusing on and stuff like that. And that obviously creates a new wave, and then that shows more and more people. The more people want to get involved, and we're starting to see that mania move a bit in stock markets. And I'm sure something similar is going to happen to Bitcoin at one point. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But then there's difference about the utility, as you know. At least what we've seen historically, you have all these different systems, for example, dApps on the Ethereum network. But if you look at the actual money and the usage of that, it's very, very new and fresh. There's not so many people actually using it for its purpose, compared with people that are speculating, and that's where there needs to be more of a balance, right? Where there's a genuine demand and need for the services that Bitcoin and cryptos require. Cool, thank you so much, Rain Cat. Got a question. Can we take a look at the Aussie dollar versus the New Zealand dollar? I know we don't always agree. I'm quite sure you have this with I mean, it's always like that when it comes down to cryptos, right? Anyway, I have this little WhatsApp channel. You can actually ask me to add you. If you click on that link and you send the message add, what's going to happen, I'll add you to my WhatsApp feed, and I'll send this to you guys. Not every day, but most of the days. The same video here. You can watch it directly on your phones. Okay, so this is Aussie dollar versus the New Zealand dollar. And I remember this very well because I did an analysis on this and I published that on, good morning, Maurizio. I published that on Investing Cube. So what happened here is that you got a combination of data favoring the New Zealand dollar, and you had the break to the downside, and the market slid to the downside like that. We reached that target, and now the market continues to be bearish. We are, however, of course, reaching support. So, you know, it's a bit challenging to be short here. We also have, if you look at the 6 hour, some sideways price action like that. And you have the same way, this is a rectangle. You have a rectangle here, and then the market is going to, is trying to trade lower like that. And if we indeed get price establishing itself down here, I suggest we can trade down with another 106 pips to 102.64. I haven't been able to read the news feeds today, so I don't know 100% if there's a particular reason for this going down right now. But I hope that helps. So I want to remain bearish below 104.87. Okay, I think we're going to wrap things up. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and appreciate taking your time here watching this market update. We'll do this tomorrow, same time here on Investing Cube's page, and as well on the ATFX YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the button here and like the video down here, and as well don't forget to subscribe. It's very straightforward. You subscribe and you get some notifications. But it's better to follow me, even better to follow me on Twitter, and also follow me on my WhatsApp channel. The reason for that is actually very straightforward, and that is that unless you subscribe to emails, you sometimes the notification comes like 24 hours later. Not sure why YouTube would do that, but it's not really helpful to watch something 24 hours later. Here's my Twitter as well. Guys, have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time here on investingcube.com. Thanks so much, and happy trading. Bye-bye. Cheers.